somebody says, oh, I really understood how you felt on stage, and if you can make other people feel things, that's the best part about acting. Acting is kind of like replaying people's emotions on stage, and so if they can relate to what you're saying on stage, then it makes you feel good as an actor.
Are there a lot of challenging parts in acting?
So, you know, something I think a lot of actors hope to do when they're acting is to really make people believe they are who they are, and that they're really feeling what they're feeling. So if I'm a character who's really grumpy, or I'm a character who's really sad, hopefully I'm making people believe that I really am grumpy, or I am really sad, or I am really happy, no matter what it is. And so to make people believe that, sometimes you really have to sort of use the energy it takes to feel those things. And if you've ever been super excited, or if you've ever been super sad, those sort of big emotions that we feel as humans can be exhausting sometimes. And so doing that all the time and having to go from being a regular person to all of a sudden playing someone who's super energetic and yelling and shouting at the top of their lungs, or sad and pretending to cry or something like that, that can be, I mean, that can honestly be almost as exhausting as having to run a mile or something. So you know, acting is a lot of work, and it really does take a physical and mental toll on you, but it all, I think, is beneficial for you in the same way that exercise is tough but also beneficial for you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And especially if you get into a show where you're dancing, sometimes you're asked to dance and sing at the same time and not look like you're tired. And that can be really, really hard, especially when you get old. But I think the emotional characters are a lot harder to play. I played a woman in a play that was a little bit crazy and very sad. And then at the end of each night, I felt very, very tired, because for 2 solid hours, I had to be crazy and sad. But even though that was a hard part to play, I'm glad I did it, because it it was like a sense of accomplishment. Like I could figure out that I can do that. And now that I've done that, or like, for example, one time I played a French person on stage and I had to learn the accent. And so now I know I have that French accent in the back of my mind, and I can do it anytime I want to. So as you do hard parts, you learn new things and you grow.
Did you, well, you might have already answered, but did you like to act when you were my age?
Oh yes, I was.
Love being that saltine cracker.
Oh yeah, I was a ham. Have you heard of someone be called a ham? It's just someone who loves to get in front of people and be goofy, and basically I love attention. So so I would always love one thing is my dad was a high school teacher, and so I was always around high school students. So I always wanted to get their attention, and so I would always do funny voices, or make my body do something goofy, like pretend I was like a flamingo, or pretend that like that I had no bones, and that my body was just loose and like a wet noodle. And so I would always try to make older people laugh, and so it was always a fun way to make people laugh. I just really enjoyed making people crack up and seeing them laugh, and know that I was able to do that. So I always loved it as a kid.
How old are you, Malia?
7.
7. So when I was 7, I did not like attention. I was very, very shy, and I did not perform in front of anyone. I didn't enjoy that at all. I didn't like to, I liked to be by myself. I was very, what they call introverted. So it was only through dancing that I started to like to be on stage and have people clap after I performed, and then I started acting. And what I liked about acting was that I wasn't being myself on stage, I was being someone else. And then I wasn't shy anymore when I could be someone else. So when I was your age, I didn't do it at all. I did not want to do that at all.
How often do you perform? Just how often do you want to perform?
We want to perform all the time.
Mm-hmm. I love to perform as much as I can. But then sometimes, it's, you get busy and you have a lot of things to do. And sometimes there's a show I do where we meet on Tuesdays to practice, and then once a month we'll have a show. I do a bunch of acting outside of that, and so I probably perform like about 2 to 3 times a week. But this one show, I got tired because I was acting all the time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go play softball with my friends. So I went and played softball with my friends for a little bit because I wanted to do something else. And everyone who was a part of that show said that's fine. So sometimes I want to act more. Sometimes I want to act less. But on average, I would say I want to act all the time.
And I do improv practice twice a week. So that's not performing, but that's really important because you're practicing learning how to do improv with the people that you're going to be on stage with. And then I perform improv once a month. And then when I'm in a show, so I do maybe 2 to 3 shows a year. And so my next show is going to be in November, and I will perform that show 9 times within 3 weeks. So it's all very condensed. You know how it is. Like you have a lot of practice, and then you have a whole week where you practice every night, and then you have show. So it's not very spread out. It's more like I just finished a show in May, and then I'll do another show in November. But a lot of that time will be taken up by learning my lines, because I have a lot of lines to learn on this show, and then rehearsals.
What show is it?
That show's called Boom. That is not a show for children.
We wanted to come to see you in the Addams Family, and we had like a conflict with every single time.
Yeah, that's okay.
We were
There'll be another
disappointed.
one.
Well, we were disappointed. But
You can come to an improv show. We have
yeah,
improv
would that
shows.
be family friendly? Okay.
On third.
Not
It's
not
family
Logan's.
friendly. On the third Friday of every month.
Okay, good to know. Well, yeah, that would be a fun
Do
date.
you have a favorite memory of a performance or commercial or whatever that you did?
Favorite.
Well, I'll give you 2. So one commercial I recently did was really cool because I got to have a small part where I was acting all day next to the Cardinals baseball player Matt Carpenter.
Ooh, that would be cool.
And I got to shake his hand, and he introduced himself, and he said, "Hi, I'm Matt," and I nervously shook his hand, and I said, "Yes, I know.
I knew who you were.
I know who you are." And I said, "I'm Logan." And then I didn't talk the rest of the day because I was too nervous. But I had the time of my life because I got to golf next to him. I got to go swimming with him. And he even cooked me a hot dog and a cheeseburger. But another time that was fun, and the acting I normally do, was I got to pretend to be a student in a class that, so in college there's classes called Gen Eds, which is just short for general education. So there's just a number of different classes you can take to fulfill certain requirements. This is more than you've probably heard. But basically I got to act, we were pretending to do a Gen Ed class, and we were pretending that you could learn anything in this class. And so I was pretending to be a student who was dancing while reading a book, while doing karate, all at the same time. And that was the Gen Ed class I was in. And it was a lot of fun, and it's one of those things where I think you had to be there.
I think one of my favorites was Adam's Family because I got to play Morticia Adams. She's the mother of the family, and she's very, she doesn't show much emotion, but I got to sing and dance, and I got to look fancy with a long black wig and fake eyelashes and lots of makeup. But even though that, I look back on that with very fond memories, I was still happy to take off all that makeup at the end of the night and take off that hot wig. Have you ever worn a wig? It's very hot. It's like
Your old lady wig.
A hat made out of hair. It's just really hot. But it was a very, very favorite memory of mine because I got to sing and dance and act, and I really wanted that part, so it was great to get the part. But then this weekend I got to do some improv that was called musical improv, where we're not just acting, but we're singing and we're rhyming as we go, and it was very fun. And I got to do that with a lady who's on TV, whose name is Laura Hall, and she does a TV show called Whose Line Is It Anyway?